So I'm here today to talk about headphones, and I want to talk about noise canceling headphones and what I think are positives and negatives for the different companies that have them out. So we're going to focus today on the Bose 700, which are right here, the Sennheiser Momentum 3, which are right here, the Bowers & Wilkins PX7, which I no longer have, the Sony WHXM 1003, which I also no longer have, and the Master and Dynamic MW65, which I have, but I don't have out here with me. So I'm going to hit a few categories. So let's start with sound. And, sound is subjective to all of us. We're all a little different. But here's what I think. So starting with the Sonys, I think the sound is pretty good. They do have an exaggerated bass. So you tend to get sort of fatigued on it. Now, they do have an equalizer in their app that you can go in and change and lower the bass. But I don't know. To me, I think headphones are meant to sound a certain way from the factory. And I just never found myself happy messing with the baseband adjustments and the equalizer. So moving on to the Bose, I think the Bose are really decent with sound. It's a trade-off. Like, I think going back to the whole thing of, I think you can have headphones that you like for different reasons. So for me, the Bose are a good travel companion. They don't do anything terrible with sound, but they don't do anything great with sound. And I look at, different things such as, portability and noise canceling, level of noise canceling that they do. So to me, the Bose are my pick for travel. But they don't, like if I want to listen to music and enjoy it, and I'm sitting back kind of in the lazy boy, they don't really bring anything to my ear that just goes, oh my God, like these are the best headphones ever. They never do that. However, the Sennheiser Momentums are great when it comes to music. So you put them on and you just sort of get into that zone and you hear music the way it was intended to be heard. So the bass was a little overpowering to me at first. Like I was a little, maybe a bit much, but they do break in over time as you use them. And it becomes this thing where, you kind of hear that a little bit of boomy in some songs, but then other songs you don't. But if I had to pick a headphone where I'm just wanting to listen and hear as much as I can to detail, these would be it. I really think they do a great job. The Bowers & Wilkins PX7s have probably the widest soundstage of all the headphones I've ever heard. But when it comes to vocals, they have this, my friend Joe used to say, says that it's like listening through a paper towel roll. I think it's more of like I was doing this video last night and I kind of thought of the idea, it's actually more like they're just COVID-19 approved. So it's like they have a mask on. So I was listening to Rob Thomas' Lonely No More at one point, and it was like, you don't have to be lonely anymore. Like he's talking through something. And it was just weird. It's like a layer on top of the headphone. And it's only in certain tracks. I mean, there were certain tracks where I felt like vocals shined, or they did fine. They did better than they did on that track. But the Master Dynamic 65s were my favorite music headphone until the Sennheisers. They really do well on mids and highs clarity. The one thing they don't, I think, where they sort of lack is they lack in just overall bass. I wish bass was a little better. So if you're not a bass person, you're kind of more in the hi-fi world, I think that you would love the Master Dynamics. There's just times where I'm listening to them and I just want a little bit more excitement on the low end. When it comes to build quality, I think the Master Dynamic probably, as far as build quality, they're leather, they're metal, they're actually very light. I like their build quality. The Momentum 3s actually have a really good build quality. So they got leather on the band here. They got real hinges. So I think those two are probably the top of my favorite as far as when it comes to build quality. The Bose 700s are fairly plasticky. They do from all intents and purposes. I know they look nice, kind of futuristic, and kind of less of that sort of business trip for your old man Bose that they had going. So the Sonys are all plastic. The Bowers and Wilkins are actually kind of cool. They're carbon fiber, but they're heavy. So when you talk about now comfort, we're going to kind of transition there. The Sonys, because they're all plastic and I think they're the lightest headphone on this list that I'm reviewing. They are super light. The one thing for me that really kind of got annoying with the Sonys is they would make my ears sweat. So if I'm wearing them for long periods of time, my ears would just be really kind of like sweaty for some reason when I took them off. So I wish the pads were a little bit more breathable. Then if they fixed that issue, they would be my headphone of choice for travel and everything. Not for music, but for travel, for sure. The Bose, I can wear. When you first get them out of the box, they have a pretty good clamping force on them. I stretched them out for like 2 nights over the box they came in, and that really helped. I can wear these things now for like 8 hours at a time. The other thing about the Bose, they have the best microphone for sure when it comes to video calls and stuff. The world's kind of changed here. I'm using them a lot for conference calls. They also have a nice feature. The Alexa button on them you can push that and it will mute or unmute. It makes a tone so what the microphone's off or on. And I just love that. I think more headphones should have that capability. Actually, all of them do have that capability except for the Master and Dynamic, Sony's, and I think those are the two that don't, where you can't mute the mic, I don't believe. So as far as mic quality goes, though, real fast, I think I would rank them Bose, Sony, Bowers and Wilkins, Master and Dynamic, Sennheiser. That's probably the way I'd go. It's been a while since I've used some of them on the phone, but and had their overall, like how well people hear me or how much I'm clipping. But those are probably the order I put those in. As far as comfort, though, on getting back to that, the Sennheiser Momentum 3s are really good. They got these really big, wide cups that kind of go over your ear. The Bowers and Wilkins are also fairly comfortable, except they have a hard clamping force. And the Master and Dynamic, I wish they made their ear pads a little bigger. It's a little tight on my ears, and kind of gives you a claustrophobic feel after a while. You take them off and your ears can breathe, and it's oh, thank goodness. So comfort-wise, I think I would probably go. I think I'd probably put the Sennheisers first. I'd probably put the Bose second for me, Sony's third, Master and Dynamic fourth, and Bowers and Wilkins fifth. So that just kind of, that's subjective. I mean, maybe you wear the Sonys and your ears don't sweat, or maybe it doesn't bother you, but there's little factors that bother me on that. And finally, let's talk about noise canceling. So I think Sony's hands down are the winner here. They block out, I think, the most of the low, mids, and highs. They probably do the best job. The Bose, I think, are second. You do get a little bit more of the highs in, that come through on the Bose. I think the Bowers and Wilkins actually are third. They do a fairly good job. I'm very impressed with what they've done, and it's good to see these audio companies starting to succeed in that. That used to just sort of be a Bose and Sony thing, and then everything else was kind of gimmicky. But Bowers and Wilkins really did do a good enough job to where, if I like the headphone more, it would be my headphone of choice. I can't get over the COVID-19 thing. But anyway, the fourth would be the Sennheisers. Sennheisers, so if you're wearing them around your house, it blocks out the furnace, the low end. But there's noises that get through that are kind of annoying. So you're running the dishwasher, you got kind of that little whoosh of the water, and that sound gets through. The overall motor of the dishwasher gets blocked. So that kind of maybe gives you an idea of what you're going to hear. Also, voices kind of just tend to just float right through. So, if you're going to go to a coffee shop or something, these would, if you're wanting to use them to just kind of escape the world, I mean, they're going to do great on the low end, but everything else they're going to suffer at. So keep that in mind. The Master and Dynamic have a hiss that they produce when you turn on the noise canceling, and it's a bit annoying. You can cover it with music, but you just kind of always know it's there. So I kind of put them last in that regard. So if you're gonna buy a headphone solely for noise canceling, I would go with the Sony's. I'm amazed. I'm impressed with how well it does. The Bose are adequate, but you notice it if you ever get a chance to try them on side by side, you're gonna know the difference. So, but just overall, so like when I go through and I look at all these things, my favorite headphone right now is the Sennheiser Momentum 3, and then I would put the Bose second, the Sony's third for me, the Master Dynamics fourth, and the Bowers and Wilkins fifth. I just, I like what the Bowers and Wilkins team's doing. They got to fix that masky covery of the vocals. It's not smooth enough for me. So hopefully this helps. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask and try to cover them.